Title: Kendrick Perkins says public school classes are holding back the next generation of hoopers. You're wasting time. Kendrick Perkins has never been afraid to speak his mind, but this time, has ignited a fiery debate that goes far beyond basketball. The former NBA champion and current ESPN analyst dropped a controversial take about the development of young basketball players in America, and it's making waves across the sports world. Perkins claims that public school classes are holding back the next generation of hoopers, arguing that traditional education systems are slowing down athletic potential and wasting valuable time that could be spent honing their craft. Let's dive deep into what Perkins said, why it struck such a nerve, and what this conversation really means for the future of basketball in America. Perkins' bold statement. During a recent discussion on a basketball podcast, Kendrick Perkins didn't hold back. In his trademark blunt style, the 2008 NBA champion said, "If you're a young baller trying to make it to the league, public school classes are wasting your time. You should be training, learning the game, studying film, not sitting through algebra or history lectures for 8 hours a day." The statement immediately went viral, sparking a heated online debate. Some agreed with Perkins, arguing that elite youth athletes face an impossible balance between academics and sports. Others slammed the comment as short-sighted and irresponsible, claiming it undermines the importance of education and the reality that only a tiny percentage of players ever make it to the NBA. But one thing's for sure, Perkins knew exactly what he was doing. He's never been afraid to stir the pot, and this time, he's forced fans, parents, and coaches to confront an uncomfortable truth. Is the current education system compatible with producing world-class athletes? The core of Perkins' argument. Perkins' main point revolves around time and focus. He believes that America's traditional schooling structure doesn't support the development of elite-level athletes. In his eyes, those crucial teenage years, from 13 to 18, should be dedicated to perfecting one's craft, not memorizing facts that don't contribute to future success. He pointed out how international prospects often follow different models. In Europe, for example, soccer and basketball academies integrate sports training with tailored education, allowing young athletes to train for hours daily without sacrificing academic basics. Perkins believes the US should adopt a similar approach for basketball. Look at Luka Doncic or Victor Wembanyama, Perkins said. Those guys were training professionally as teenagers. Meanwhile, American kids are worried about homework and history tests. That's not how you create generational talent. A look at the bigger picture. There's a layer of truth in Perkins' argument. The modern basketball landscape is evolving rapidly, and player development has become a full-time commitment. AAU circuits, travel leagues, and training camps now dominate the youth sports scene, and kids hoping to make it big often juggle grueling schedules. The reality is, young athletes are under immense pressure to specialize early. They train before school, practice after school, and spend weekends traveling for tournaments. It's a demanding lifestyle, and for some, balancing academics becomes nearly impossible. However, critics of Perkins' stance argue that education isn't just about classes, it's about life skills. Many athletes who fail to reach professional levels rely on those skills for future opportunities. Moreover, education teaches discipline, time management, and mental resilience, traits that successful athletes also need. Social media reactions, divided opinions. As soon as Perkins' clip went viral, social media platforms exploded with opinions. One camp, mostly made up of aspiring players, AAU coaches, and even some parents, agreed with him, saying the system needs reform. Comments like, "Perk's right. These kids need training schools like IMG Academy, not regular high schools, and public schools don't prepare athletes for pro life. They slow them down," dominated threads on X and Instagram. On the other hand, educators, analysts, and former players clapped back. Former WNBA star Chiney Ogwumike tweeted, "Education isn't the enemy of development. It's the foundation. Not every kid's gonna be LeBron or Kobe." Even fans chimed in, calling Perkins' take reckless. One viral post read, "This is why we have athletes going broke or lost after retirement, because nobody taught them life skills outside the game." The discussion highlighted a deep divide between those prioritizing athletic success and those emphasizing balance and long-term growth. The role of prep and private schools. Interestingly, Perkins' argument isn't completely without precedent. Many elite young athletes in the US already attend specialized prep schools that offer flexible academic schedules, online learning options, and intensive sports training. Schools like Montverde Academy, Oak Hill, and IMG have produced countless NBA stars, from Ben Simmons to RJ Barrett and Jalen Brunson. These institutions bridge the gap Perkins talked about, offering both education and elite-level athletic development. However, these programs are often expensive and inaccessible for many talented players from lower-income backgrounds, the same communities that rely heavily on public schools. That's where the heart of the problem lies. Perkins' frustration stems from watching countless young hoopers with NBA-level potential never get the right exposure or resources simply because they're stuck in an environment not built to nurture their athletic dreams. Perkins' experience shapes his view. To understand where Perkins is coming from, you have to look at his background. Growing up in Texas, he was a dominant high school player who jumped straight to the NBA from high school in 2003, before the league introduced the one-and-done rule. He didn't go to college, and his life has revolved around basketball from his teenage years. Perkins knows what it takes to make it to the league, but he also understands the system has changed. Today's prospects face more competition, more media scrutiny, and more structured pathways than ever before. So when he says you're wasting time, it's coming from a place of frustration, seeing talented kids struggle to reach their potential because of structural limits in the system. The other side of the argument. But there's another perspective worth noting. Education advocates point out that even in professional sports, longevity is rare. The average NBA career lasts less than 5 years, and very few players achieve financial security from basketball alone. They argue that focusing exclusively on hoops without an educational safety net is dangerous. Injuries, competition, and burnout are real risks. Having a solid educational background provides athletes with post-career stability, whether it's coaching, entrepreneurship, or media work like Perkins himself now does. Interestingly, even Perkins' own career transition into broadcasting benefited from communication and analytical skills, both rooted in education. What this debate means for the future of hoops. Ultimately, Kendrick Perkins has sparked a necessary conversation. The question isn't whether school is bad, it's whether the current education model fits the modern demands of elite youth sports. Perhaps the solution isn't abandoning public school altogether, but redesigning how.